Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. Our mission at City Current is to power the good, and we do that through positive media, events, and philanthropy. This show features interviews with a mix of business and community leaders who discuss important efforts, trends, lessons learned, and ways to get involved so we can learn more about our community and work together to make a difference. Now, on to the show. We always love talking about the power of literacy. That's why we're honored to have with us Jason Baker, Executive Director of Champions for Literacy. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's great to see you, Jeremy.
Well, when you talk about the power of sports and literacy, there's some great synergy there. So let's go ahead and start with some history and some background for Champions for Literacy.
Yeah. If you're watching or listening to this and you're in the Memphis area, and then you know Tiger basketball, and if you know Tiger basketball, you know the name Wilfong. So we are a Wilfong family-founded organization. So we've been around for 11 years. It's a great story that has now come full circle, and I can explain that a little bit more as we dive in. But John Wilfong, Tiger basketball great and legend, his son actually had the idea for our organization as a senior in high school. And 11 years later, several of us get to have great jobs because he was a high school senior that was willing to dream. And so their family got really passionate about literacy. And of course, they were a sports family. And they started to ask the brilliant question, what role could sports play in this space? And so now we're running exciting programs that answer that question.
When you look at the importance of focusing on literacy, hopefully everyone knows, because when you talk about literacy, you can't have a job. It's hard to read a menu and order anything. I mean, literacy plays such an important role in success personally, professionally, but talk about why focusing on literacy is so important.
Yeah, we a phrase that we use around our office a lot is that reading means life because reading is life. As we think about, as you highlighted, the ways we have to interact with literacy throughout the day, they're often very under the surface. Many of us, part of our work is helping people pause and realize, oh, that is a skill in my toolkit that has landed me where I am today and that's contributing to my growth across a number of different areas in life, whether it's economic, spiritual, emotional, et cetera. And so, the importance of literacy, I mean, if you look at it as a cause, there are few, if any, causes that transcend economics in the way that literacy does. So if you are reading on grade level by the end of the third grade, and you come from a lower income community, there's an 89% chance that you graduate high school and go on to begin a career. If you come from a higher earning income community, that percentage is 90%. So you're talking about a statistical difference of little to nothing. And so adults who can read, only 4% of them live in poverty. So you talk about kind of the great equalizer and a cause that transcends economics. Literacy is incredibly powerful.
So let's go ahead and dive into the programs and how all the magic works. You have a number of different programs, so go ahead and start diving in.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what we do as an organization is driven by two basic beliefs: that reading is transformational, and we just touched on that, and that sports have this unique ability to rally communities around causes that really matter, either on the team side or the athletes. And so what we do flows directly out of our why, which is we provide opportunities for individual athletes and for sports teams at any level to impact this cause. And then corporate sponsors and brands can come alongside and really boost and catalyze the impact. And so if you think about our work at the teams level, we run a program called Fight for Literacy Games. And so we'll partner with about 100 college athletic teams across the country. And so they'll spotlight literacy orgs in their communities. International Paper is our presenting sponsor for that program. And so they will drive grants to reading programs and have a great celebratory reading moment for kids from reading programs at the games. And so everything we do is built on this idea of utilizing sports to resource programs that are moving the needle for kids and provide inspirational moments around reading for those same kids. So that's the team side. The individual athlete side, very excited about this program. We have a program called Impact Players, and that is working with athletes from 6th through 12th grade to harness their platform to drive resources throughout a sports season to reading programs local and to use to volunteer their time. And we set up kind of inspirational reading role model events for them to go and read to kids in first, second, third grade, do book signings, those kind of things. And so, yeah, the team side and the athlete side, the Impact Players program, specifically in Memphis, is growing a lot. So we worked with 6 athletes this year. Collectively, they'll raise close to $100,000 for reading programs in Memphis. So you're talking about 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, young athletes. That program will at least double next year. And so this will really be our bread and butter in Memphis moving forward. And so we're working on the team side and the athlete side to build this unique story.
Talk about the feedback you're getting from the athletes, from the programs, because there's power as an athlete in having a higher purpose and using your platform to power the good. And that's exactly what you're doing, is you're empowering them to be able to make a difference in their community. And so talk about what sort of feedback you're getting from the teams and the individual players.
Yeah, absolutely. One, I think they're really grateful to know about the cause of literacy. And that's a real strength of our work, is saying, hey, even if an 8th grade volleyball player isn't involved in literacy for the rest of her life, she's going to be aware, right? And I do believe they'll stay tethered to this cause long term. And so part of the feedback we get is, I didn't know I could make a difference if I'm not Desmond Bane, right? The other part of the feedback we get is from the family perspective, is saying, hey, we're now aware of this cause, but you're also teaching our students, our student athletes, the foundational truths of generosity and purpose at a really young age. And so what I love about our work is there's this community benefit or boost, right, in the literacy space, as we help scale programs that are working for kids. There's also a service to the athlete in teaching generosity and purpose. And then our donors who fuel our work, they get to make both happen at the same time, which is pretty cool.
You mentioned Desmond Bane, and I know that he plays a role in this as well. So talk about working with Desmond Bane.
Yeah, that's a partnership that is newer for us, but clearly we're excited about it. You know, you forget he's 26. He's so impressive. So we have an annual event called Suits and Sneakers that we put on. We just did it at the end of September, so it'll be every September in Memphis, and then eventually we'll add it to other cities that we're involved with from an impact player standpoint. Really fun moment. Desmond came and presented an award to each of our young athlete impact players. And it was phenomenal. So we're looking forward to doing more with him. I mean, everything I heard about him leading up to the event was he was thoughtful, intentional, relational, and he has a lot of good people around him. And I think that's how you know who he is as a person, as a man, as a dad. And he was phenomenal. He was excited about what we're doing. He said he wanted his kids to become impact players when they grow up. So I won't let him forget that 13 years from now. And we'll get him in the program. But we were really humbled and honored to get to work with him. Yeah, it was a blast of an event, and we're looking forward to next year with him.
So you mentioned obviously other states, nationwide. Talk about working in other cities, other states.
Yeah, so on the team side of things, we're in about 50 communities, colleges and universities around the country to host men's and women's games, so about 100 this year. The Impact Players program has started in Memphis. The full circle moment is that Jonathan Wilfong, as a young athlete, as a senior, is like, hey, I want to impact this cause. Now we're providing a platform where dozens of young athletes can do that. So we wanted it to start here in Memphis. I mean, as you well know, Jeremy, Memphis is a city that's changed the world over and over again. And so we wanted to build it here and build the proof point story here and build a movement of young athletes who are impacting this cause. And then we want to take it elsewhere. So just a couple of weeks ago, we brought on our first 2 impact players in Dallas. So one is a top 5 golfer in the country, high school junior. And it's just Texas, right? Everything's kind of bigger and flashier. And then we just brought on a kid named Keelan Russell, who will be a quarterback at Alabama. He's a senior in high school this year, so we'll actually be launching his Impact Players campaign this week. And so we want to grow that program in Dallas and then take it to other cities.
This will carry us into vision and goals for the future, but talk about how the community can help, because obviously, sports programs, athletes, high school athletes, you're starting to paint the picture of all the different ways. And obviously, as you mentioned, the corporate catalysts and companies getting involved, just like International Paper. Go ahead and start talking about how the community can help.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're a sports fan and you understand literacy at all, one, we'd love to connect with you. You're the type of folks who can fuel our work and continue to build something truly special. If you're a parent of a young student athlete, we'd love for them to join Impact Players. We've got slots available. Those are quickly filling up for next year. We do expect to be full next year and to grow that. But if you're looking for a great give back opportunity for your young athlete, then please reach out to us. On the corporate side, it's really fun. You've got a few different activation options. You can sponsor a Fight for Literacy game at a school or community of your choice and provide a really cool experience for your employees and for kids from a reading program. You can sponsor a table at Suits and Sneakers with Desmond Bane, or you can sponsor an Impact Players campaign if you want to add to their fundraising that they're doing during the year. And so, yeah, corporate gives us the opportunity to create some really unique stories and experiences.
What does it look like on the commitment side for the impact players? Like what all is involved with that commitment?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we take them through 4 modules as a part of the program. So the two things big picture they're committing to is to fundraise to meet a local literacy need in Memphis, Dallas, et cetera. So that's the resource side, and then to inspire to at least do one volunteer opportunity around the powerful cause of literacy. And we help to facilitate and execute all of that. And so one of our strategic anchors is that we make it really easy for athletes because they're busy, right? And even in the 7th grade, they're trying to recover and use cryotherapy and all this stuff. So we want to make it really easy for them. And so if you just show up with that understanding and with a real desire, we work with amazing kids and families in the impact player space. And so as long as that desire is there to make a difference, we will help you get there. And so when they show up, we ask them to commit to those two things. As long as those can be a part of the equation, then they go through 4 modules. One is called Literacy 101 Memphis. And so it's a webinar that our team has put together. I always tell people we hire former athletes and teachers. Like that's our team, right? And so they'll go through a literacy 101 and really learn about the cause and the landscape of literacy in Memphis. And then we have a very open, fluid conversation with their family about when they fundraise the money, it all goes into one pot and then we split it out. But when they volunteer their time, they get to learn Literacy 101. We kind of ask them, like, what did you see? What did you hear? Where would you like to volunteer? And then we help them stand up their campaign and we help with pre-written fundraising emails. And, we kind of email them at the end of the campaign and say, here's your donor thank you notes, send these out. And so the soft skills and the hard skills of running a campaign and all that, we make it really easy for them. But that's kind of how we walk them through that. But what we ask is that you fundraise according to how much you can fundraise and set your goal, and then show up and inspire some kids.
So talking about their goals, now talk about your goals. When you look at 2025, building for the future beyond, what are some of your goals and objectives?
Yeah, absolutely. So three primary ones. One, we want to grow sponsorships around the Fight for Literacy games. I mean, it's a really great activation for corporate. Two, we want to grow the Memphis Impact Players program. So, like I mentioned, it's grown 400% this year. It'll double again next year. We'll work with somewhere between 12 and 15 athletes, different sports, races, genders, schools. We want to grow that to 35 to 40 athletes in the city of Memphis, a movement of young athletes impacting literacy in a really neat way. And then we want to continue to build the Dallas story and let the Dallas story follow Memphis. And I should say too, so our founder, Jonathan Wilfong, now lives in Dallas and has worked there, went to SMU, played basketball for Larry Brown. So we have a couple board members in Dallas, and that's why that's our next move. But yeah, we want to grow those two programs and again, start with Memphis and build this proof point story.
Outside of the Desmond Bane experience and all the interactions that you have a chance to have in your role, how has all of this changed your perspective on sports being able to be a platform that can impact literacy, but ultimately transform lives?
Hmm. Yeah, really good question. I'll say first, Jeremy, I now have way too many sports allegiances that I can keep up with. And right, it's like why am I score watching this game, in the middle of nowhere? It's because it's like I met a couple athletes there that were really game changers, right? And took it really seriously when they went to read to kids. So I think what I've learned about sports and what I've been reminded of is this is an era where things like NIL and all those things are very important, right? And so I think we need these stories that live under the surface that are where NIL and these kind of things are really involved, where athletes are really using their platform to make a difference. I've also been reminded that the majority of athletes are not going to play in the pros. And so what we want to do, but they will be based on the skills I hope that we're helping play a small role in developing. They're going to be business leaders and they're going to run foundations. And so what I'm reminded of is like there is life after sports at some point. And so we want to be a part of, kind of what their story looks like. And for some athletes, I want them to know like CFL is here as a part of their support team after sports and as mentors and those kind of things. So yeah, it's been a fun space to be in. I went to John Wilfong's camp when I was 10 years old. And so this is kind of a fun full circle story too. And, sports and reading are really kind of who I am as a person. And so this role is a real blessing and it's been a great fit.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate it.
We're honored to have with us Pat Lawson, Senior Manager, Regional Relations with the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee. How are you doing?
Hey, Jeremy, thanks for having me today. Really excited about this opportunity and looking forward to a great conversation.
Absolutely. When you talk about philanthropy, engagement, there's a lot to dive into. Extremely important conversations, obviously, for the community. So let's start, though. Give us some background, give us some context for the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee.
Absolutely. Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee is about 32, 33 years old, so we are relatively new in the community foundation world. The idea and concept of community foundations have been around for almost 100 years now. The first one was started in Ohio, and they have spread across the country. So there's a network of community foundations that really support communities all over the country. And ours here in Middle Tennessee was started about 33, 34 years ago. So we are on our second CEO. Our original founder and executive director retired about 2 years ago. And so she has allowed us to build a foundation here in Middle Tennessee that allows people and allows corporations to really invest in what they are passionate about from a philanthropic standpoint. So our job here at the Community Foundation is to connect generosity with need, and we meet members of the community where they are and look to help them support what they're passionate about.
So let's dive into how the magic works, because when you talk about the power of investing, and literally you can, even benefit over on that side as an investment that can grow, that can then contribute, allow you to double down even more in the community.
That's right.
There's a lot of power to this, but talk about how it works.
Well, we talk about the power of endowment quite a bit here at the Community Foundation. So we are an endowment-based philanthropic model. So we work with corporations and individuals that have capacity to set up funds. We manage those assets, invest those assets, and then as a part of the interest and the return on that investment, we work with our donors to support the nonprofit organizations that they are passionate about. And so the way that it works is rather than making an annual gift that you would to your church or to your favorite philanthropic or favorite charity, we work with individuals to set up funds that use the power of compound interest over time and allow their philanthropic capacities to grow on an annual basis. So we can open a fund for as little as $5,000, and we've done that. And then we work with those donors through estate planning or through other means to grow their funds and grow their endowments. And that way, each and every year, their ability to make a larger impact only grows. So we have a number of examples where an organization or an individual family will start off with an investment. That investment will double over time, and they will almost have given away an equal amount that their fund has grown to nonprofits while their fund is still growing. So we are an asset management company for charitable individuals, and so we're a little bit different than organizations like United Way or your regular organization that does annual fund. We partner with those organizations to really amplify philanthropic work. And so our role as a community leader is to be what our name says. We are the foundation for community. So we work with nonprofits, we work with philanthropists and other funding organizations and other foundations to really identify what the needs are in the community And then we work with our donors and civic leaders in order to really put upstream solutions to the issues that really need impact and need solutions for each and every community, because every community is different. So here in Middle Tennessee, we cover 43 counties, with Nashville being the capital and being the hub. So the bulk of our work is 10 or 12 counties around Nashville, and in Davidson County itself. But we are willing to go anywhere and everywhere that can make a difference in the community.
You're also doing some very unique things around corporations and supporting employees. Talk about that side.
Yeah, we've got a really robust employee care program, and the way that works is we work with companies that really provide an employee benefit. And so what happens is a corporation or a company will set up a fund with us. They invest in the fund, they grow the fund, we manage it, and as a part of that philanthropic work for their own employees, they set up criteria in which the employees can qualify for a grant or a benefit, whether they're whether they have medical bills or whether they're, whatever the case may be, they're short on their electric bill, whatever the case. A lot of times we work with organizations where in a community where there's been a disaster, where flooding has occurred, or, there's a loss of work. So whatever the criteria is that the company set up, we manage those grants. And so it's an employee benefit, but it's also a confidentiality part where the companies and the manager of the employee doesn't know that they're struggling. And so it really gives dignity to the employee, where the company can help the employee when they're down or when they need a little extra boost or something that they qualify for, but it doesn't reflect on their performance in the company. So it's a charitable philanthropic way that companies can provide an employee benefit, and not only an employee benefit, but a real put their arm around their employees and help them up when they need it the most. And that's we have a number of corporations that do that because they're charitable at heart, but they also believe in what their employees are about. They really support their employees in that way, and that's a really special opportunity that we provide for companies to do.
Touch on some of the other community impact programs and
Sure.
things that you all do that are unique.
We have a variety of impact programs. We have boards and affiliate programs in each of the counties around Nashville that raise monies just for the nonprofits in those counties. So we have corporations and leaders in those communities that raise money specifically for their local nonprofits. We work with nonprofits to grow their endowments. A lot of organizations and nonprofit organizations don't have the capacity to kind of manage their own endowment. So we work with smaller nonprofits and be able to give them that tool in their toolbox. So when they're fundraising and they're talking to their own donors, we serve as that partner with them. We do corporate philanthropy. So corporations can set up their own fund where they support nonprofits on their end. We have a huge scholarship program where individuals can set up scholarship funds. We have over 700 scholarship funds that we manage. And so we can meet just about any philanthropic need that someone may have. And so that's the benefit and the flexibility we have as a nonprofit ourselves, is we can meet the corporation or the individual where they are, work with them, really listen to what they're passionate about, and then support them in that work. So we offer donor advised funds, we offer field of interest funds, restricted funds, scholarships, as I mentioned. So we have a network of opportunities where the donor is who we work with in order to support the organizations. And as a part of those relationships, and we're in the field so much and on the ground with nonprofits, we often tend to serve as a matchmaker between, we learn about this organization doing this great work in the community. Let me introduce you to this donor or this corporation who's passionate about the same thing. And we're kind of the matchmaker of those organizations. So we spend a lot of time supporting nonprofits as at the same time we spend a lot of time supporting donors in companies that have the opportunity to give. So it's connecting generosity with need, and we really serve as a crossroads of that here in Middle Tennessee.
Carry that into then, how can the community get involved? Obviously, opening up a fund, that's
Sure, absolutely.
Point. But how does the community get involved and be a part of everything going on with the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee?
Well, there's several different ways. The first thing we like to tell people is get involved with what you're passionate about. If you're passionate about feeding the homeless, go to a food bank and support them. If you're passionate about early childhood literacy, get involved with an organization that supports. The work is on the ground. There's no doubt about that. There's never a shortage of opportunity for work and for helping those that need help. But in a larger way, the conversation really becomes about awareness. Be aware of what the problems are, so that when you see something or you have the capacity to make a difference, your heart is already open to listening to it. And so we'll open up a fund any day of the week. That is what we do. We are in the business of opening up charitable funds and supporting people. But really, at the heart of what we want people to do is to learn about the issues that they care most about. Whether you've had a family member affected, or you're involved with your church who is really passionate about this particular social issue. We're in the social impact business. And in order to be impactful in a way that is meaningful, your heart has to be in it as well. And so really get involved at the ground level. And then as you learn about issues and the opportunity presents itself, then we can meet with anybody and everybody about what that means from a philanthropic standpoint. Because what we don't want people to do is to give a check one time and then not to be engaged. We need charitable investment, and in order to make a true impact in our society, that investment has to come from the heart, and then when you match it with capacity, then things can really begin to change.
Thank you for all you and your amazing team do to power the good. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. Look forward to helping somebody and helping everybody.
Thank you for watching the City Current Show. To learn more about each of the guests, to share your stories of others, leading by example, or to watch past episodes and more media focused on good news, visit our website at citycurrent.com or follow along on social media using the handle or hashtag citycurrent. We look forward to seeing you again soon, and thank you for all you do to power the good.